Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Do you remember at any point in your life sitting in a sporting arena and being able to chant that phrase to the opponents that you are happily beating? Well, this is sort of what it's like within the collectibles scene right now. And when we look at the digital landscape, we have people that are kind of, I don't know, lack of a better term, fighting amongst each other, saying this collection better, that one's better, even though the entire world is pretty much looking at digital collections and saying, these are kind of stupid. Well, if you go to the physical front, everybody's generally got a good vibe, but everybody's also kind of secluded in a different way. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how the future generations are potentially going to inherit these things, because there's one thought that happened the other day, and I mentioned it on the stream yesterday, about for vintage cars. Are people that are younger going to care about vintage cars? And the answer is that, well, it kind of depends on the people individually, but then it goes even more to that. If you see, okay, all of these electronic cards, and then you have electric, I guess it's electric, whatever. But what does it look like down the road where that's kind of the norm? Maybe the gas-powered ones literally don't exist on the road, and are people going to still pay something for a car that doesn't exist? Now you say, okay, hold on, chill. I don't like that thought. You're wrong. There's going to be gas-powered vehicles forever. Okay, but you're seeing across the world so many different things that are starting to happen, where even on the digital landscape, people are now waiting for the Clarity Act, stuff coming out of the States. And I just did an interview with Henry, the CEO of CyberKongz, which got subpoenaed by the SEC for 27 months and basically put everything that they were doing on pause, and they weren't expecting that. So the world's in a weird spot, and we're going to go over some collectibles news, give some opinions. How the hell are you? Glad you're here. Yo, Shizzy, what's going on, Shizzy? How are we doing? So first of all, I had a thought, and I realized I need to share more like actual thoughts and not just give out news. So I seen this where it was a ticket for Ken Griffey Jr.'s opening night in '89, I believe. This is what it is. Yeah. Is it not a thing where in sports, arguably, if you dedicated your life to it, it is one of the few things where you are guaranteed, if you're successful, to get noticed around the world? I'm trying to think beyond that. Like, sure, if you create some kind of massive electronical move, right, with the Elon Musk or the Steve Jobs in the Apple realm, right? But for sports, you kind of have a path laid out where, you know, you get to a league, it's already established. If you're able to dominate in it, just as a person, you can become famous in a way. And I'm trying to think of like how many industries is that something that is possible in, where if you go over to the digital collectible landscape, you have people that can just absolutely buy everything of a collection and suddenly they have a massive fandom. Now, if we switch that from the digital side to the physical side, have you ever seen somebody that's bought bags and bags and bags of a certain collectible that then has gotten a ton of notoriety from people within that industry? The only thought that I can think of is sort of Logan Paul, but he was already, you know, from the WWE, whatever else out there. But it's interesting that the Clout, I guess, in the digital side, you can connect with everybody instantly within these communities, where I don't know, it feels like it's going to take a little bit longer for the physical side, unless you go out there, you make the content and everything else that's there. Now, Ken Griffey Jr., you're talking about legendary. The guy who climbed the Taipei Tower, that's another legendary one on the sports topic. And I guess to the point that it's now been broken, the building, because people are trying to just simply climb up it, which is just unreal. And also, just as a note, for anybody that's tuning in for the first time, it's like, what the hell's going on? This guy gave a rant at the beginning. Now he's going over a bunch of different news. We do this every single day, Monday through Friday, where we try to talk about collectibles news and stuff that I just find interesting. So if you find this kind of fun, well, would love for you to stick around. And in 2026, the term collectible, that Google trend, oh baby, it's moving and then it's crashed. Listen, it's okay. You always got a little bit of a pullback, but it is interesting from, I mean, does this chart actually, yeah, it literally goes all the way back to 2015. So collectibles are flying. And on yesterday's stream, we talked about how for the first time in 3 consecutive years, it was actually a very positive year. I think it was up 6 to 7% overall within the toy industry. First time in 3 consecutive years of being down. People are paying attention. And look at this old release from Zelda. Set for release. This is so hard to read. Set for release today, Nintendo's newest game showcases creators' genius in luring players inside a world of action, fantasy, imaginary imagery, not imaginary. Holy smokes! I got to zoom in on that one. We're never gonna do crappy segment like that. But the Legend of Zelda, we saw the Lego set that's being released the other day, where people are still saying, hey, these are way too expensive, but LEGO is able to charge so. And on the trading card front, imagine that you are buying a box of Pokemon cards and you're hoping to keep it sealed. And instead of them putting it in a box or anything, they just stick on the shipping label and send it out. People are crashing out over that on the timeline. Now, Topps, the other big trading card company besides Pokemon, why is it that every third day, maybe even less, that there's some kind of PR newsletter email going out of something that has been waffled? Instead of screwing something up, please start using the term waffling it, because I think that that's just funnier. Dear Topps Collector, we are reaching out regarding your recent pre-order of the 2025 Topps Stadium Club Baseball. Topps Stadium Club Baseball actually has really cool history. We have a short about it, how they were gone for a couple years. They randomly did a set in like 2006 and then didn't do one again until 2016. They've continued doing it, but that set overall actually has kind of a cool history. During the pre-order period, some unfinished packaging designs temporarily displayed on our website contained outdated artwork that included incorrect mention of Chrome base cards and Chrome parallels. These designs were part of an older file that was not intended for the final product. To confirm, the final printed packaging does not include Chrome-related content, and the final product does not include Chrome-based cards or Chrome parallels. All website imagery was corrected, and the final accurate packaging is now reflected on the product page. So every day, again, we're having PR disasters over in the Topps front. So today, I went out to a different card show and waddled on in there, and they had a wall of pins from Digimon, the Pokemon, everything else, and I was like, oh, you know what, these are kind of cool. And you go around, they actually had some singles, you had to ask for them. I kind of flipped through the books and I was like, oh, these are really cool. And the person behind the counter, the passion around what they were talking about and explaining things. We do have a video that I'm sort of working on from a card show that I went to and interviewed a couple of founders, and it's just really good vibes when you're able to meet these people. And then you go online and you see certain crash outs of a lot of stuff. So if you're tainted by anything you see online, would highly recommend going out to some in-person events, because it is, I mean, even if it's a store to talk with some of the employees, it's just a little bit of a reminder that there are some fantastic people out there. This coming from RuneScape, where they were highlighting some keyboard accessories that are based off of RuneScape. Phenomenal, right? Why doesn't this happen more? I love a good keyboard kind of accessory of sorts. And then I started looking, trying to find, all right, well, what else exists on that front? And then I found this League of Legends Jinx playmat. What else we got on here? We got a couple different keyboards. So Jax, if you're a Jax player of sorts, then you can rock and roll with those. But keyboard accessories of sorts, of like your favorite IP. I want more of them. I am hella down with it. Optic, if you're a fan of the Call of Duty team, I believe they're in a couple of other esports as well. But they actually brought back some of the old retro Huntsman gear from when they were that within the CDL before switching over to being the Dallas team. And yeah, I think these are great. I love the Dallas Empire in specific back in the day. But then, yeah, that's changed just a little bit, but cool on the collectible front. So Doritos, are you guys familiar with the drink, right? Like these drinks, you ever gone to a specialty store? I feel like these are in more stores than just like specialty ones. It kind of depends, but this is a company that actually got into the digital collectibles landscape. So if you've never seen, they had these Bones by Doritos. And if you were going to buy one, it costs $336. But the idea is that across socials, if you're wanting to and have that sense of ownership, then you could have gotten one of these that are associated with the brand. So when you look back and you see those keyboards of RuneScape, of League of Legends, and then you see sort of stuff like this, it's like, what else? So if you're, a Coca-Cola fan, if you're a brisk iced tea fan, which I am, depending on whatever drinks, Could they get into keyboard accessories? Could they get into collectibles? And this all goes back to the big notion around Gary Vee, and he continually saying, in 2026, the biggest marketing play for companies is doing stuff around collectibles. So the question with it is, how many companies are big enough where people are going to want to get collectibles, whether that be digital, whether it be physical, it all sort of depends. And if you've not seen this, I guess in China, they launched a Digimon game, and Digimon is always something that I will praise and continue to do so because I think the series is great. Now, Pokemon's gotten all the love in the world, but the IPs, the characters, you can go, and I think it's under Internet Archives if you type in Digimon episodes. I think on Crunchyroll, they have the English subtitled variations, but it's actually free. If you you can literally look it up and watch some of the original Digimon episodes, and you might have one of the craziest hits of nostalgia. So why I'm bringing this up is because allegedly they are interested in creating more games, which add another IP that you go way back when, and there's a ton of Digimon cards, first editions, everything else. But when I went through some of the articles highlighting the games, this line took me out. A novel way to acquire Digimon, easily complete your entire Pokédex. So isn't Pokédex a part of Pokemon, not Digimon? I don't know if that's just a weird loose translation, because it did have to do like an automatic dub of that, but like... And Cooper Flagg, we've seen where a bunch of his cards are going from $80,000 to $100,000 plus. Wow. After paying $95,250 for Cooper Flagg's preseason debut jersey in August at Sotheby's, which is an auction house, someone is trying to flip the jersey already at Heritage Auction next month. Pre-sale estimate is now $150,000. So the question for you, of course, would you rather have one of Cooper Flagg's trading cards, or, signed one of one, the whole shebang, don't worry, we're not cheaping out on it, or would you prefer his pre-season debut jersey? These are the questions. I feel like there's actually going to be a lot of one-of-one Cooper Flags, so I would say maybe the preseason debut jersey, honestly. Because how many, for those preseasons, they only do what, like 2 years in the NBA? And then that's it. Like usually they have the first and second year players that play in them. On the Disney Pinnacle front, we're still seeing some bonkers banana pants craziness. $1,199, $900, $4,000. That's $0. What is going on? I guess these are just asking prices in the middle there, but $1,999, $4,000, $2,500. People are being open to the digital landscape, even though, again, I get comments, people hate digital. You might have a certain way about it, but there are those that are interested in jumping into that. So it goes back to the question of what the title of the stream is. What are people going to inherit on the collectibles front? Is it going to be the digital, the NFTs, and people are going to be open to that aspect, and that's maybe going to be the dominant one? Is it strictly going to be physicals? What is it like for future generations that are probably going to be even more immersed in this online world, what they prefer to buy, sell, trade, appreciate, whatever? Because if somebody gets something, do they just immediately kind of throw it out if they're like, I don't really care about this? And I don't mean throw it out. Obviously list it for sale. But I'm curious, as the generations progress and the interests of humans as a whole really change, what's going to stay hot, what is going to not. Takashi Murakami, the famous artist, you might have seen his flowers, his designs. There's a lot of celebrities that like a lot of the different collections and things that he does. Do you know that he did a trading card game at a point, and I think this started a bit last year, also did an insane amount of digital collectibles. So just like the Doritos bones, that guy was a famous artist, and he was one of the people that got some notoriety within the Web3 space because it was, here is a legitimate business, a legitimate artist. What are they doing? So he went with pixelated flowers, and you can see crying mustaches, bow ties, in which we love, but all completely different. But then there was even more, where this was the original seed for it, where it costs $1,000+ right now. There's only 292 owners. So these, I believe, turned into the full flowers. I could be wrong on that. But then I'm looking up all the stuff around Murakami, and he's got this cat coin bank feeding game, which also did 130 ETH in volume, which is $200,000 American. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then there's another one where there's the same cat thing, but in like a slightly different way. So certain people have done a lot within the digital collectible space, and other ones maybe not so much so. But this is what the physical trading card game packages look like for Takashi Murakami. If you've not seen, I'm going to try to just like flip through these really quickly. Does it give the Pokemon vibe? Does it give the Digimon vibe? Does it give like any sort of specific reference? Do you feel when you're looking at I mean, for the full art ones, do you say that's One Piece? I feel like that's more Pokemon. These top ones, this one gives me like a Yu-Gi-Oh vibe. It's funny, the darker ones, or even the dragon, gives me off that sort of vibe of sorts. So CyberKongz, a CEO conversation that we did. Here's a quick clip from that on the RWA SegMints podcast.
Successful at it.
The tokenization of gaming sort of went to a point over the last little bit where it feels everybody gave up on it. The tokenization of collectibles as a whole feels like it's finding its niche and starting to genuinely get adoption. And then the tokenization of just everything is, as I said before, something that we hear in general. But when you look at gaming, collectibles, tokenization as a whole, how do you see this convergence actually shaping up? Do you see it where we're actually going to have a lot of these things tokenized? Is crypto gaming, blockchain gaming, that sort of thing, is that kind of lost in the sauce at this point? Like, what's your perspective on it?
I think so. We did a collection on Ronin, and our Genkai collections on Ronin, and we migrated our game from Polygon to Ronin. And Ronin's one of those chains that really focuses on gaming, obviously the home of Axie Infinity. And I think one of the hardest things that we've seen in crypto gaming is that flywheel only lasts so long. Like, it lasts up until TGE. Like, look at Pixels. It's a great example, right? Pixels was doing really well. TGE happens. It's heavily botted, and everything drops off. And I think it's been really hard for teams to crack the code of what Web3 gaming is. Whereas you look at like Counter-Strike skins, right? And you're like, okay, well, that makes sense to me. You get an asset in a really cool game and you can own it. You can buy it from someone. But the whole concept of just Web3 gaming in general, I hate to talk crap about it, but like in the end, most of these Web3 games suck. You wouldn't probably play 99% of them if there wasn't a financial incentive in it. And the hard thing is, it is really hard to keep that flywheel going, to keep people playing the game, because most of them aren't that fun. Do I think Web3 gaming is cooked? Right now I do. Yeah, right now I do. Do I think there's potential for it in the future? Absolutely. But it's struggling immensely.
It's weird to look at, and just laces on the crypto gaming front. So again, final thoughts with going back to the title of the stream. Right now, tokenization is struggling in points where you see certain collectibles being tokenized. It's going pretty well. You have the gaming component of gaming collectibles that are tokenized that is not going well at all. And we continue to see different closures. And obviously, yesterday we went over the Rooniverse shutdown for right now. Hopefully they're able to figure that one out. They're saying they're not abandoning it. I do have an interview scheduled with Elf, who's one of the artists, so that'll be coming up on the podcast. I'll try to get a little bit of the details on what's going on there, because they have a massive IP around it. I have a wall right behind here of a bunch of Forgotten Runes comics, and people have built out these different things, and we have no idea what is going to last years from now. Right now, we might think we do, but we don't. So we got to keep an open mind. We got to watch the market, and we got to see what people have to say. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for coming on through. If you want to listen to that full episode with Henry, the CEO of CyberKongz, the link will be down in the description below on YouTube if you're watching on there. But of course, if you're over on X, Facebook, Abstract, wherever else, thank you guys so much for watching. And Shane and Josh, appreciate you guys leaving the positive comments as well. Yo, and Shane's here. Yo, he's coming through as soon as I say, yo, we're rocking and rolling out of here. But I guess if there's any final questions, feel free to let me know. I'm trying to think if there's any. Is there any final things? I mean, Shane's showing up and I'm bailing on him. That is like the worst possible thing we could do. Let me see if I can just find any quick news we could go over right quick. The unique sports collectible that landed the Realist at 12. What the hell? Hold on. Okay, we might have gotten one. Let's see. The unique sports collectibles that landed the Realist a $12 million investment round. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Yo, no, you're good, Shane. I can't leave you just like that. Every championship team these days seem to have a tie to Drake. Okay. He's either the team's most vocal celebrity fan or a combative supporter of their opponents. The Los Angeles Dodgers were the latest member of the latter group. Drake took shots at Shohei Ohtani during the 2025 World Series, where the Dodgers faced the rapper's hometown Toronto Blue Jays, but Ohtani's teammate Kike Hernandez got, or Kiki? Kiki or Kite? No, I think it's Kiki. Got the latest word in during his championship celebration. Okay, the Hernandez album cut way up. It was reference to the song Big Rings by Drake and Future, and it was the moment that inspired the creation of a unique collectible, an album cover complete with vinyl record inside, depicting Hernandez in the style of Drake's Nothing Was the Same album art, with Los Angeles Zone's October printed in the form of a parental advisory sticker on it. The creative collectible sells for $50, with copies signed by Hernandez priced to $200 and inscribed with October's very own for $300. The Hernandez album cover is a part of a series produced by innovative company. Okay, I'm trying to figure out like what's the exciting part about this. Produced by innovative collectibles company The Realist, and includes other featuring players such as Ohtani and Aaron Judge. The concept comes from the Realist founder Scott Kenny, better known as DJ Ski, but the series is just one offering from a company now attracting a major investor from some of the sport's biggest players association. The Realist recently closed $12 million in Series A funding to expand its authentication technology and relationships across sports, music, and film. This round of funding is led by N1 Ventures, a partnership fund between Landing Alternative Asset Management firm and Trust Global, which is a collaboration between mobile players. I feel like I'm like lost on what the hell this is. The Realist is a culturally resonant platform and exactly the kind of authentic. Okay, so let's just type in The Realist and see what this is. I feel like it's going to pop up something kind of crazy. Oh, okay. No. Hold on. Where they had a different labeling for it. The first dedicated marketplace and authentication standard for physical memorabilia. The first. I don't know about the first. I feel like we just watched a clip a week ago of a company that was taking down and listing all the Buffalo Bills stadium gear. MLS memorabilia. Okay, now we're talking. Mention MLS, I am sold. Shane, I was creating videos for some upcoming McFarlane Toys digital drops. Do you cover Disney Pinnacle? Did you cover the latest $500 capsule drop that sold out in minutes? So we went over a couple of the sales a minute ago that just like the platform as a whole was going nuts. But yeah, so they had a recent drop for Disney Pinnacle. It was $500 and it was all these like legendary pins. And immediately somebody got one of ones or the highest. they flipped it for a couple $1,000s immediately. And it was like, holy sweet guacamole. The MLS end of year auction, what do we got? 176. Oh, yo, you can buy the All-Star Game Captain Band. This was such a good game. If you're like, I want to find out a little bit about soccer, football, I haven't watched in a while. The MLS versus Liga MX, which is like the Mexican Pro League, was a classic. El Clasico. I know they call that for Barcelona and Real Madrid, but holy smokes, that one was great. Also, we saw Klaus get traded from, or like signed from St. Louis over to LA Galaxy. And I think that one will make Klaus an absolute star because he was not doing anything with St. Louis at all. Anyway, all right, so that's a bunch of little bit extra random stuff, but real video, Shane, appreciate you coming on through. Glad you're able to catch it live. Shizzy, thank you for saying hello as well, and for anybody else catching afterwards. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.